Hello, everybody. Crazy day in the markets. A lot of volatility today, driven by DeepSeek. We'll get into that in a minute. I thought it might be helpful in order to help you understand what's going on if we take a step back and talk about it within the context of broader economics. And the first place I want to start, this is one of my favorite videos, helping people understand how economics work in a very simple fashion. How the Economic Machine Works by Ray Dalio, oldie but a goodie. Look it up on YouTube, about a half an hour. Ray Dalio talks about the short-term debt cycle, which is typically a 5 to 8 year period, and over a very long period where you get the boom and bust within the economy. Eventually you get this great deleveraging event. And those typically happen, every 75 to 100 years. So you can think about that like the Great Depression was a great deleveraging event. 2008 was a great deleveraging event. And so a lot of the volatility that we're seeing, I think people are starting to question, hey, could we be getting some sort of deleveraging event? I guess to kind of help you think about that in another way, Callum Thomas had a nice post talking about how U.S. debt to asset ratio peaked in 2008, 2009. We've since dropped to 50-year lows. And look, although very, very painful in 2008, 2009, it's been a very good, deleveraging has been a very good thing for our economy overall. And so, I kind of look at this with relation to housing, and I think some people are kind of worried we might get a global deleveraging event, right? Where we've just passed 300 trillion and by some measures 320 trillion of global debt. That's a massive, massive number. Jeff Booth had a nice video. Let me try and blow this up for you. We've got 900 trillion in global assets relative to, when you add it all up, roughly 550, 600 trillion in global debt. And so, in essence, Jeff Booth is trying to make the point that we are insolvent in terms of our assets relative to this debt. And so when you think about the natural state of the market, innovation should, in theory, drive prices down over time. When you don't see that happening, typically it's as a result of money printing by governments, government regulation, government bureaucracy. That's what tends to drive prices up. Typically, competition, innovation, free markets tend to be deflationary over time. And so, when you think about going back to the 2008 financial crisis, what was that driven by? It was driven by a lot of debt around U.S. housing, and then all of a sudden you had deflationary pressure on housing prices. Housing prices drop, houses are underwater, and you get a great deleveraging. Those assets need to be sold, refinanced, etc. Debt needs to come down for the economy to, reset and continue to climb higher. And so when I think about DeepSeek, what's going on there, right? There have been billions and billions of dollars flowing into NVIDIA chips, into open AI development, right? Billions and billions of dollars. And then all of a sudden over the weekend, China, releases DeepSeek, open architecture. So supposedly $5.8 million to develop. China has been known to potentially lie about the information, cost of things, how they were developed, but supposedly $5.8 million to develop. Better output, better and more adaptive learning models, lower cost in terms of running their models. Good job of I guess I was on it. Yeah, anyhow. So, what does this represent, right? You've got all these huge companies, NVIDIA, multi-trillion-dollar valuation, Apple, Meta, pouring money into AI, right? A lot of people are worried that those prices for those companies overinflated. In the same way that innovation drives TV prices down, all of a sudden, are we going to get a huge drop in the cost to run AI models now? And are those companies overvalued, right? China didn't even need NVIDIA chips to do this. They've been doing it with inferior chips. So, I think, naturally prices will come down over time. I think people are worried that, is the stock market overinflated? Are we going to get a great deleveraging in big tech? Is that going to then filter through to a great deleveraging in terms of global assets and global debt? It's definitely scary stuff. I do believe, and it's my opinion, that over the next 5 to 10 years, AI has the potential to significantly increase output and productivity of our economy, which should significantly drive down prices. So I think there's some good in that. I think there's a lot of good in that. I think there's definitely some scary components to that in terms of, is that going to totally tank the stock market and the value of assets that we own? It could happen, right? So look, that's what's driving the volatility in the market. We're going to continue to monitor this throughout the week. And, as we digest further, we'll probably drop another video here, perhaps on Wednesday, but at least wanted to give at least some updates on how I think all this ties back to the greater economy. More to come.